So what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Keep It or Flip It. That's our new thing now. We're going to discuss why we're flipping houses, why we're keeping it, and what's like the ingredient or what do we look for in these properties. So welcome back to the show. My name is Omar Alfaro. So let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. And I know you had a few questions, so ask away. Let's go.
Cool, man. So yeah, being an early investor in this business, and I'm sure a lot of people want to be in this business as well. One question I have is, how do you know when you're doing these flips, how do you know if you're going to keep it or hold it? What's the indicator for you that tells you, what to do with it, with the exit strategy?
That's a good question because as an early investor, you need to have capital, right? And then as a seasoned investor, you probably already have some capital saved, and then at that point, you're going to start acquiring doors, acquiring property.
Right.
But let's just go through a couple examples. When I first started out, I flipped everything, and the reason being is because you have to increase your capital, and then later on, you're gonna allocate your capital in certain areas. So if you figure, I'm going to be buying a house for, let's just call it, $300,000. Okay, $300K. And at $300,000, it doesn't represent too much of it's not a big investment, but you got to know what it's going to rent for, okay?
Right.
And I don't see the price as the issue ever. I always see, okay, if it's $300,000, what's it going to cost me to put down? So most of the time, you're going to get traditional financing.
Yeah.
And traditional financing is going to probably be 10 or 20% down. Okay, and right now they have all kinds of DSCR programs, which is a hard money loan that doesn't go on your credit and stuff like that. So that's cool. So let's just take that example for a minute.
Okay.
Let's just do $300K, right, at 10% down, okay, which is $30K.
Yep.
Now, if it's $30,000 down, your out of pocket's $30K, right? This is before the house needs any work. Mm-hmm. So let's just say it is going to need some work, okay? And it's going to need about $30,000 as well. So now your out-of-pocket expense is $60,000.
Yep.
Now, you can see that?
Yep.
300K, 10% down, 30K to fix up, 60K total. So this is your down payment, and this is your rehab. Now, if those, if you don't have this kind of money, you're not going to be buying the house.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first key. Because if you don't have that money, you're not going to be buying this house to keep and hold it, okay? This is where you're going to either wholesale the deal and just sell the contract to somebody else that has the funds for it.
Yeah.
But let's just say you do have the funds. Okay? And now you're in at $60,000. Okay? So the house you bought for $300, okay, but it's not worth $300. Let's say the ARV, this is a perfect example.
After repair value?
Yep, after repaired value is $400,000. Just to keep numbers simple.
Right.
Okay? So if the house is worth $400K, you're buying it for $300. By the way, if that does happen, great job. Give yourself a round of applause because you bought a property with $100,000 in spread.
Right.
Okay? So you bought it. So if you're 10% down, you're $30K, right? Your loan amount is $270.
Okay.
Okay? Or $273, $274, depending on your costs.
Okay.
But then if you put $30K in it, you're in essence $330. Mm-hmm. Not $360 because it minuses from the $300K.
Okay.
Because it's the 10% down, somebody gave you a $270,000 loan.
Okay. And there's a payment on that loan that I'm getting as well.
100%.
Okay.
So now holding costs,
yep.
Which is probably anywhere on that $270,000 loan, you're probably looking at, $18 to $2,000 a month.
A month, okay. That I'm going to have to pay while we're still in the middle of the flip or whatever.
Correct. So good. So you know the process a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. So you have $18 to $2,000 a month in holding costs.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just say that it's going to take you 4 months, and then in this scenario, we're going to say that we're gonna flip this house.
In 4 months.
In just this scenario.
Okay.
Now, if in 4 months from start to finish, that's going to be $8,000. Okay, yes. Just in holding costs.
That's just to hold the property.
That's just holding the property. That's how much it costs you, because you don't have rental coming in.
Right.
Okay, So that 8K is there. Now, that $30,000 for rehab, that's an expense.
Yes.
Plus the $30,000 down payment. Okay? So now you're out of pocket, $68,000 is your out of pocket expense. You see that?
Yep.
How it's all broken down.
Yes.
$68,000. Now, you got to ask yourself, do you want your 68K back plus the profit? So you're at $400,000.
Yep.
After repaired value, you're going to be paying, let's call it 2% for commissions, right?
Okay. And that commissions to an agent
To an agent that ends up bringing a buyer to that house.
to sell it. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And if that's the case, well, 2%, what is that? Off the top, 1% is $4,000, 2% is $8,000.
Yep.
So another $8,000 that you have to pay. So that now becomes $392,000, right?
Yep.
Plus your costs to sell the home. So let's call it another
There's more
five.
fees to sell the house as well.
Yes, because title and escrow. Let's just say that you're at $8,000 to pay for a commission. And then you're another $5,000 for costs.
Okay.
Okay? What is that? That's $12,000.
Add it to that.
Add it to this. $12K.
Okay.
All right? And perfect scenario, you're in this house, $80,000.
Okay. Yeah.
$80,000 to make potentially, right? Because now you're in you're in this whole project, 360,000 plus another 8 plus another 12. That's your cost.
Yeah.
So now 300. This is where it gets tricky.
It is getting tricky. Yeah.
300K plus 80,000. That's 380.
Yep.
400,000. You don't really make much.
Right.
You really don't.
Right.
Because you're paying so much out. But it's not adding this. Remember, I didn't add the 300K to the $80,000 out of pocket because 30K dropped it.
Yes.
So
right.
really, there's another $30,000. So potentially, this could make you 50K.
Okay.
So I want to do this here really quickly because I am thinking about something. Here it is. So again, $300,000 in 400K ARV.
Okay.
ARV. Earlier we said we're in at $80,000, right?
Yes.
Because that included your down payment.
Right.
So this 300K is gone, so it's 270
Yep.
plus the 80,000. Quickly do the math. What is that? 350. 350K. Minus, or you take your 400K ARV minus your 350. What's that give you? $50,000.
That's the profit.
That's the profit, potentially, right? If
Yes.
everything turns out perfectly.
Right.
So that $50,000, but in order for you to get that 50, you had to spend 80.
Yes.
Make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
And if that's 80,000, I don't have a calculator in front of me, but your return on your initial investment is pretty good.
Right.
I mean, you're not at 100% return because that'd be making 80.
Uh-huh.
But if you're at a 50% return, that's 40K. So you're at about a 60% return on your investment if you flipped it. Last time I checked, no one's giving a 50, 60% return on anything.
Yeah.
So this is why it's so crucial to know your exit strategy in the very beginning. So then now you understand that your money that you invested is going to make great money in 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
People don't make 50, 60% annually. They might make that in fucking 20 years.
Right.
You know?
And
You're making it in 4 months.
That's really good.
So this is why I say flip property until you can increase your capital, and then you hold a house.
Okay. So
Because go ahead, sorry.
yeah, so you recommend doing a couple of these first before you actually hold it.
100%.
Okay. Because the numbers will be different if we end up holding this.
Yeah, because if you end up holding the property initially,
Yeah.
you're gonna not see that $60,000 that you initially invested. You're not gonna see it
Right.
at all. It's gonna sit there. So you better have a good enough income coming in to withstand that 60K that you left in
That's
that
gonna
property.
sit there in that property.
Right. Because if your payment's $2,000 and you can only rent it out for $2,500, You know, like now, like this, I'm telling you, if your payment's $2,100, let's just say,
Okay.
and you're gonna rent it out for $2,600, that difference is $500. That's what you're making in cash flow a month.
Yeah.
Yes, sure, it's $6,000 a year,
Yeah.
right? But now look at this, $6K a year at the $60,000 that you initially invested, your rehab plus your down payment, because you're not selling it, so there's no closing costs.
Exactly.
You're just keeping it. You're holding it, right?
Yep.
And somebody else now is paying your mortgage. So you made $6,000 annually if you rented the property out
In 1 year.
in 1 year. So that's a 10% return on your initial money invested.
Yeah.
Your $60,000 at 10% is $6,000.
Yeah.
So, and you still have the asset. But if you need that 60K, you got to refinance, tack on points.
Right.
You're going to refinance, tack on closing costs.
Yes. Fees.
So,
stuff like that.
if you can swing it, dope. You made 10% of your money. But does 50 to 60% on your money sound better in 4 or 5 months as you allocate, as you increase your capital?
Yes. And in your given situation, in 4 months, I can make 50,000. Why wouldn't I do that and then maybe would you repeat the process again?
Yeah.
Take your 50K and
Like take your 50, do it again. Imagine now you had your 50,000 plus your 60. Right now you have 110.
Yep.
Now, what if you got a 50% return on your 110?
Yeah.
Then you got 160,000, right?
Yep.
Then what if you did it again for another 60%? Before you know it, you have $250,000
Yep.
saved, and then you do it one more time. Now, as you see how it's compounding,
Yes.
that's literally how I started. $30,000 is what my initial startup was. That I took that 30 into like 700-800K, and that's when I started buying more properties because I needed to, because I needed to have the tax shelter.
Tax show. So that's tax. That gets into a whole nother.
That's a whole nother
ball
episode.
game. Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that right now. But this is something for you to understand on why we keep it or flip it.
Yes.
And every person's going to be different.
Right.
Like, if you're starting out, I'm going to say flip. Increase your capital.
Okay.
But if there's a steal, then go make more money to keep that one house and whatever business that you're in, and you're in real estate.
Yep.
Go represent more buyers and sellers. Go do a couple of wholesale deals. Flip some more so you can increase that capital because you just kept a property and you have all that money tied in there.
Yes.
So, there's so much more we can talk about, but I just wanted to kind of break this down. I know you were kept on asking about, dude, when do you flip it? When do you keep it? So hopefully that helps. Any questions or anything else like that?
No, it kind of makes sense. So if you're early in the business, just like me, or you're an early investor, the key is to flip. Get your
100%.
cash flow up. Flip until you can afford to hold the asset for the long term.
All day.
Which gives you the tax benefits, all that, but that's another ball game.
That's another ball game.
In the beginning, if you're an early investor, flip.
Yep.
Flip it.
Increase that cash flow.
Because 50K in 4 months sounds a lot better than 6,000 over the course of the year. Especially when I'm so new. I need that money back.
Yes, to reinvest it, to reallocate it.
Yes.
And to use it on marketing and everything else. So that's pretty cool.
Keep going.
And to keep going.
That's awesome, Omar. Thank you for all the information, man.
Dude, all day, man. That was good. And I'm glad that you were able to, you made the time to sit down and talk about this, which is pretty cool.
And I hope this helps anybody else trying to get involved, because this is key right here.
Yeah, it should. Guys, we just talked about a deal. That's all we did. And the reasons I choose to either flip or keep in it. And I'm sure you guys follow me enough, but make sure you do subscribe to the new YouTube channel, because we are going to be bringing out a lot of content, and it's real deals that we're talking to real people about what the next step is in their investment game, in their investment success. So that's one thing that every investor is gonna be different, but I will share with you that as long as you put in that work and you listen to people that actually do the business, you're gonna get some crazy nuggets that you're gonna implement in your business. So guys, I hope it helped. Keep it or flip it. Episode 2, 3, I don't know what it is, but it might be episode 2. But just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.